Good morning, chat. Well, good afternoon. It's not even morning. It might be for some of you. We're doing an early stream because I have practice later, and those have been starting at like 7, 8. So, you know, it's just there's no point in trying to stream after. So, today we're going to play some Dragon Quest. It's going to be kind of chill. And we're going to also have a ball game. There's balls. Now, here's the thing. There's the Switch 2. We're going to talk about that. Vinny, you've promised TGA. What is TGA, chat member? We're going to talk about the Switch 2 in just a second. I want to actually, I want to show you some stuff. Now, I guess a bit of a spoiler. Your Game Awards. That was last night, dog. That happened already. Yeah, weird. Vinny, what are you practicing for? We, the band, Red Vox, have a show at MagFest in a couple of weeks. The VOD didn't come out, so they couldn't know. Oh, alright. Well, yeah, I was live last night, and I did the Game Awards thing. And, you know, that'll be on the Full Sauce channel later. So, okay, listen, chat, if you don't want to talk about Switch 2 leaks, if you don't want to be spoiled at all or speculate, turn back. But I wanted to show you that Nintendo of Japan has posted this image, which means the Switch 2 is definitely confirmed. But in reality, there are potential images and videos of this thing, and I'm going to show you. So, apparently at CES, which is happening right now, there are already third-party peripherals being revealed for the Switch 2. And it looks like a Switch. Wow. You have, I guess, third-party LED gamer Pro controllers, which looks exactly like a Pro controller. So I don't think we are, with Nintendo Switch 2, getting anything that's, like, drastically different. I mean, whatever this monstrosity is, obviously. The thing about this is, oh, and these are supposedly the new Joy-Con, and we'll talk about that. I read a little bit about them, but it's so weird that Nintendo hasn't revealed this thing yet, but I have some theories, and we'll talk about those. But here's a video that already dropped about, I think, a third-party peripheral. So the Joy-Con appear to be magnetic, and that is apparently the Switch 2. So it's got just a little bit of a bulkier shoulder button thing happening. Oh, that's actually interesting. Is that third party, or is that actually something that comes with the Switch 2, I wonder? I guess we'll find out. It's a third-party case. Well, regardless of that, I think having interchangeable meat grabbers, I don't know what you'd call them, grippers, is probably a good idea. This is not particularly exciting for me, other than the fact that I just want to know what games are coming out for the Switch 2, and the fact that Nintendo is content to let so many things leak is really weird, and I can't help it but think it has something to do with a shareholder thing, or a quarterly report, or trying not to get in the way of Switch 1 sales, or maybe there's just one detail that's not ready yet. But it is really bizarre to get this many leaks. All of this could be bullshit, but also it's happening at CES right now, and people are taking pictures of these things, so I feel like an announcement is probably imminent, and obviously I'll talk about it more when I have more info. But the hardware itself, I've talked about how I have the Steam Deck and I have the Asus ROG, right? I don't need the Switch 2 to be the most powerful system on the planet. But I would like for it to have more hardware that can support games at better frame rates. At the same time, we're also seeing optimization in games being de-emphasized for frame generation. That's a whole discussion that's happening, especially with Nvidia revealing their $5,000 cards. I'm kidding. No, they're 5,000 series cards. Different. The prices are actually surprisingly better for those cards than I expected. But I do think when you have all of that power and you have the ability to just kind of brute force your games into working... Sorry for the crust on the mic. The optimization angle kind of goes away a little bit, and a lot of developers back in the past 10, 15 years didn't have that as a crutch, so they had to figure out tricks and really get the most out of the hardware, which is why games would look better towards the end of a console's lifespan. The reason I'm saying this is, when you have a console like the Switch, which is kind of thin, you know it's going to be more affordable than a Steam Deck, because Nintendo, that's their whole MO, is, you know, specs are kind of low, but the prices are low too. Again, for my Bing Bing Wahoo Marios, I don't need the thing to look like ultra-realistic, or just even the most detailed or the most polygons. I just want it to play good, and I want the performance of the game to match the gameplay. And I think it's been 8 years since the Switch, so of course there's going to be some improvements under the hood. And, you know, a game like Tears of the Kingdom was kind of a miracle on the Switch. And I do think that if they do another giant open-world Zelda game, which I hope they don't, I kind of hope they go back to just, like, Twilight Princess-sized Zeldas, for at least a game or two. But that kind of thing is where the extra power is going to help to make the world look nice. Still not going to be like Cyberpunk level, Cyberpunk 2077, but it's going to have the ability to run and not dip as much. So that's great. And having frame generation is helpful. And I do think Nintendo's really good at developing for their own consoles. Shocker. So, in terms of hardware, I don't really know what to say about it other than it looks like a Switch. The gimmick angle is lessened this time around, which is good. Because the Wii U was all gimmick, and it fell flat on its face. Had a terrible name. If this thing is called the Switch 2, that indicates progression. And I think that's going to be much more clear for consumers to, like, okay, this is not just an add-on to the Nintendo Switch. So when Nintendo does reveal this thing, their marketing should be crystal clear. This is the next iteration. Here's what it does different. You can play all of your old games on it, which I think is a necessity. And yet, some of those old games will actually look and play better. Which is not a necessity, but that's something I would really like. There's this rumor that you can use the Joy-Con like a mouse, and I've seen some videos of people kind of testing that theory out. Not theory, but like just kind of, you know, doing a demonstration where you would remove a Joy-Con, use it on a hard surface, flat surface, and it would be like a mouse pointer. That seems really, actually not bad. Mario Paint 3D, here we come. No, I do think that seems like a pretty good idea. That, plus like a little wireless keyboard, and I think that would probably end up being really good for a lot of games. Even without the keyboard, just having the option to use a mouse instead of pointing at the screen or using a thumbstick might actually be a nice little quality of life thing. Not game-changing, but cool. I also feel like the magnetic Joy-Con are going to be, if that's real, I do think that that's a nice change as well. I hope they got rid of the drift. If the Joy-Con prices for Switch 1 are any indication, this thing's going to be fairly expensive. Like the Joy-Con themselves and the Pro Controller. So, that's really all I've got in terms of hardware. I don't really know what else to say about it, but yeah, having these images and these leaks, quote-unquote, come out is really weird because this is something normally Nintendo would just completely want to avoid. And, Do you remember the Switch 1 fake leaks? Like this thing? Do you remember this thing? God, that looked terrible. Imagine that. Imagine using that. That was based on a real patent. Well, it is unfortunate that it looked like poop, but yeah. So I think the last thing I'll say is when this thing does get announced, I'll talk about it. It's going to be all about the games. If it launches with a Mario Kart game that's new, it's going to sell a lot. But also, as I've said, my hope is that it launches with a new Mario, like Odyssey type game, or a really, really good single-player Nintendo game. I hope Metroid Prime 4 is first year. I would love to see ports of games, something like Red Dead Redemption 2 or something, because that game came out like 6-7 years ago, whatever it is, and that's on older hardware. I feel like the Switch 2 could probably handle it with some work. But even if it's not Red Dead 2, whatever, anything that kind of is visually really, really nice, or like the new Monster Hunter, or something that can show off that this thing can handle games that the other thing can't. Maybe some, you know, it would be nice to see a series revived for the Nintendo Switch 2. Zelda, I think we've got a long ways to go. Animal Crossing, I feel like we're almost ready for a new one. So I really think Nintendo is just kind of, they've waited. Maybe COVID had something to do with it. Maybe the fact that Switch 1 sold so incredibly stupidly well for so long had a lot to do with it. But we're at a point now where the leaks are happening. It's obviously real. And I think within the next couple weeks, we'll get an announcement. And if that doesn't happen, then Nintendo's just going to have to deal with the fact that people are going to own the Nintendo Switch 2 before it's announced. Alright, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Thank you for listening. Let's play a game called Ballionaire now. One second. Oh my god, what am I playing?